This says American Gold labels. I guess it's foods, yeah. The tag number on here is CAC-3849 North Carolina. First in flight Chevrolet truck. I'm showing it's got a freezer in the back, so I suppose there's food in there. And you can see where he's got it running around and plugged in on the other side. So this is really a sick joke, a different way to torture you, badger you, and really it's a conspiracy, and it ends up killing me. This truck belongs, as you can see, they got all kind of parking here. So there was no need for him to, that's his parking spot over there. They're next door, his chair's pulled over here, because they're harassing me. It's not harassing. I'm going to try to finish this one. They're not going up. They've tried to block them. I'm Margaret Ann Windsor, and I was going to get out the picture of Larry Flint, the endorsement where he was shot in Lawrenceville. I didn't. I got it out, and I'm not going to put it up. All of it. My dad's Edward the Eighth. That was never married to Wallace Simpson. He was married to my mom, Claudia Ruth O'Keefe Windsor, who was actually the Queen of England. And he was forced to abdicate, my dad, in 1936, and history tells you he abdicated to marry Wallace, a double did. My dad wouldn't go along with the Illuminati, and they used the fact that my mom was, quote, a commoner, to get people. Well, the British people have told me, most of them have died, that my mom was fine with them. My mom was a school teacher, an American. So that makes me, I'm British. I'm Victoria II, and there was an addendum, and I am the legal heir, the Queen of England. And I was brought over to and given another name, Peggy Dempsey, who was illegitimate of birth. She was a twin. And quite frankly, they fed her to the pigs about 2 weeks or a week before I was put there in 1941 at age 2. My identity stolen. So, and the twin, Carl, had been murdered right after the birth, about a month after the birth. But the crimes have just been on a daily basis. It's unbelievable, and I'm 78 years old. The reason I'm putting this, it's appalling. I was doing a book before I found out about being kidnapped. And Larry Flint was shot. It was in 1978, and it was a mind-controlled shooting. And I was writing about that when he was shot in Lawrenceville, Georgia. And I've had an NBC, and if you see the photos, that it couldn't be Larry Flint couldn't have survived because they used a Magnum, and it would have blown him all over the sidewalk, and it showed pictures of it. And I won't say anything else about that other than I didn't know Mr. Flint. I was flown out during the political campaign in 1983 to replace the doctor. One of the doctors, Larry McDonald, who was a congressman from Atlanta, Georgia. He was U.S. congressman. And I had written about him. And this is August 31st of 1983, that the plane went down, the KAL that was shot down by the Russian MiG. It veered into their airspace. I was in the campaign, and I met Mr. Flint then. Now then, I'm going to fast forward to coming here in 1986. And by the way, Mr. Flint showed me, and I wondered why. I was out there twice in his home in October 1983 during the campaign. I wondered why he showed me the galley proof. You had to do that back then, of a parody that was going to appear in Hustler magazine about Liberty University Falwell, Reverend Falwell. He's deceased now. So it was about, well, anyway, it was a parody. So I end up, Mr. Flint furnished me a car for a year, and I haven't talked to him since. And I end up here in Roanoke, never thinking I'd end up here, and living on the Appalachian Trail, freezing and starving and blocked at every turn, couldn't get a job. And people didn't care. That's the whole thing. I'm British. My mom may be American. It doesn't matter. It's a joke. I'm really a joke that anybody can beat me up, do anything in the book to me, and I'm still putting it up on video, and I can't much longer. I'm about dead. Uh, they've used the last years, well, they always did, and I didn't know it, but the last years they've used since '86. And by the way, my mom and dad were alive then and still married. Even at their age, they were 40 and 45 when I was born. My mom was 40. I was born in 39, kidnapped in 41. Now that I have an autoimmune disorder that I didn't know then, but I had it all my life. And when I'm around toxic fumes, it makes my immune system attack itself, and people think it's funny. You can't video fumes, okay? You can't video mind control, which I was trying to tell about, and the Virginia Tech, the Aurora, Colorado, but these are just a few. They can program mass armies. But there's a list. Wayne Williams was one, the black in Atlanta. What was the other one's name? Nichols. Brian Nichols is in prison for coming out shooting the judge, etc., etc. So you can go on and on. So the blacks don't care either because the blacks got in on it. Martin Luther King with John Kennedy, because John Kennedy's father was ambassador, so it was a plot to take down my father. He was appointed ambassador to England by the great President Roosevelt, the Jew. So the Rockefellers, the Illuminati kidnapped me. My dad, it was plotted to take him down with character assassination. So they get his only daughter, kidnap me, and bring me over here and torture me and my children every breath I've tried to breathe. And in fumes, I either stay here because they're trying to run me again. I can't walk. I just put a video up, and I think they're blocking it. It should have been up hours ago. It probably won't go. But I'm just going to give you an example again. When I just took this picture now, I thought I was here 3 years ago, and the same similar things happened. There was plenty of room. They started remodeling the whole place, but there was one vehicle that had parked, and everything was empty. I took a picture of it, and it was doing the same thing, sitting there right in front of me. My air conditioning and door and pumping carbon monoxide in here, just letting it run. And this is what's been done all along. That and everything else. It's done at such a high level. People can dismiss it, and I can't call the cops. When I did call them back when I had a little money, they came out. I think this was in '94. And the Patels own all this around here. And the Patel, after I'd give him a month's rent at the Budget Inn, it was torn down later on Williamson Road out near Plantation. I called the cops because I'd moved my stuff in, paid for a month. And he come in and told me he was going to start remodeling in November. Here it's cold. But this is the way it's all been done. I called the police because I told Patel, everybody knows that I'm allergic to chemicals. It's deadly to me. And the cop come out, and he took my hands and put behind me and said, well, I'll arrest you. You're the one that's going to have to leave. So I said, well, can I have any of my money back? No. So I ended up leaving everything I'd put together again and leaving, and had no money then. About a month later, the money I'd saved, and I had rent paid. It's either leave or stay there and get sick as hell or die. And people have said over the year, because this is what's been going on since then here in Roanoke. They'll say, because everybody knows about it, cab drivers, when I'm able to get a cab, I can't walk anymore. So LOA helps me on the cabs. I still pay them some. But people will say, and they dismiss it because they don't want to get involved in it. They don't care about me. They'll say, well, why didn't you just stay where you are if it's going to happen to you wherever you go? Well, then that is silly. I'm sitting here. I'm so sick right now. Let me remind you, I the fumes were so bad I couldn't. I was run from one place to this place, the airport inn, plaza down there, dirty, awful. It's what drove me there. I would never have stayed, but I had no money left hardly, and I stayed there. I stayed there for I think 4 months. In that hell, you couldn't open a window. It was hell on wheels. And I'm going to dismiss all the other that was going on to me that had happened to me. I was so sick I had to go to the emergency room. And 2 days later, I fell, and it's a vinyl floor in the bathroom. I went up against the wall. The fumes were so bad, whatever they put in there, and you can't open a window or a door. And I thought when I went down, it's hit my tailbone and shattered my bones at the bottom and wherever else. Thought I wouldn't get up. I made it up from that, and I could tell I was hurt bad. Okay, it wasn't much longer, but well, this has been about maybe a month ago. I fell again. Same thing. Uh, Fell. I don't know. Anyway, it's bad. So now that I can hardly walk, and I'm going to fast forward to coming out here again. It's Motel 6 now. Over the years, I was run from here, and I'm not going to get into the others that I've run into the forest where they think is cute, Eric Smith. I've told all that. So they come out there with a formaldehyde when I pay to go out to North Creek to get away from this to live. They actually passed out logs that didn't have that would make me sick anyway, but it had out and out formaldehyde, and that was told to me by a man that came over, two men. One was from Virginia, one from another state, the Carolinas, and said that they actually took it out to Archie, what's his last name, Lambert, who was the host out there all these years. And he had it at his home, and him and his wife then actually soaked it in formaldehyde. So now then, I'm going to fast forward to this again. I've come out here over the last years, and they've remodeled when I was here. Everybody knowing that I'm allergic, I tell them. And at one point, they were remodeling everything in winter, by the way. Then they started cementing, which really got me, and that's where the woman from North Carolina, too, that they gave her a home. They couldn't sell the one in North Carolina. They actually gave her a home for what she was going to play in what happened to me. Her name's Angela, and her adopted two kids are biological daughters. Their name's Castle. So it's Angela, and her kids are Castle Queen. Her last name's Queen. Her husband got this really good job. They got a home a block down, 2 blocks down from where I used to walk on Mountain Pass, where I'm almost there now. And it's forestry, and across the streets where she got the home. Beautiful, beautiful home. You should see it. They gave this home and made way for them to come over here for supposedly to show the patterns that I was talking about the murders were done in. Well, instead, nothing's happened except I've been run. She wasn't a friend. She stole my phone and tried to delete and all this. So I'm going to, and she's still driving cars, and her husband, she even told me when I woke up that morning and they were pouring cement right in front of the door here. All this is cemented back a few years ago when I met her. And she told me, well, my husband started working for the company that just sold them the cement. So you're paying for my dinner. So it's a joke. Over the years, I've told my doctor, but you have to be careful because anything that's documented and could be used against you if you try saying you're the Queen of England, even though everybody knows it, and I've got proof and all that, who my father and mother are. But you have to watch it, and she knows anyway, this doctor does. She's been there since, I'm going to go ahead and say her name, Suzanne Volkler. She works for Lewis, Gale, and Carillion. So she knows, but you have to be careful about, you don't say anybody's deliberately doing it or you're the monarch or any of this, because they can chart it, and then later, if someone wants to, they can charge you, like, oh, well, you're nuts or something. So anyway, her response when I have told her about the fumes and living, having to move, you just don't say deliberate. You don't say it's Patel's, because she actually hired a Patel. And there's another story on what the Patels have done. It gets into unreal. The law works against me, so I don't dare call them. So anyway, I'm just going to go right now. Her answer would be, well, flippant. Well, just open the door and let it stay open for 30 minutes or an hour and get some fresh air in. Well, when I came here again, last time I was here was about a year ago. I woke up and they were paving the whole place around here, in front, all over. I was dying, actually, and I had to move then. So now then, I've gone the gamut for 2 years, and it's been the same, having to move and sick. Now I can't walk hardly. And the arthritis and inflammation is in my kidneys, my lungs. So they've destroyed me and killed me over time, with all these good Americans getting in on it on a daily basis, and I don't think this is going up. Yeah, it is, so I'm going to have to hurry. So the reason I'm showing this is I came here, and the falling from the fumes, the only time I've fallen over the years is the last 4 years is when I met Angela Queen, and I was forced again to move out on Mountain Pass Road just to have a place to put my tent up and to be. And they come up in the forest, which is illegal, burning formaldehyde. I fell twice trying to move my stuff and pull it up. Slept on a pile of rocks and fell because they followed me up. Now, the National Forest has helped in all this, and they knew it. Now then, I'm going to come back to here. I come back here Wednesday, I've been here a week and a half. I paid 2 weeks' rent. And this is the way it goes. I can buy a few groceries off the little bit of money I have. I come in and they start soaking me to where I have to move. I have no food. And everything, just if you looked around here, you think everything's just normal. What's going on there? What's bothering her here? I came back here, and I've reached it. I can't get on the bus to leave. I can't go to the National Forest like people do and have their 4th of July and all this, because they're going to formaldehyde me and make me fall. Well, I've fallen, and that's the only times I've fallen is when I was around fumes that made me fall so bad that it made me fall. So here I am. I come in here, and any fool can tell I can't even walk. I came in, and the minute I drove up here, I thought, God, she's put me right back where I started here. They did about 3 or 4 years ago when I first came here in 109, 108. And the grilling, and first of all, I think the state law would prohibit putting a barbecue grill right outside your door at a motel. But since the law doesn't apply to me, they get away with anything they want to do. So when I came in here this time, a week and a half ago, I was having to pay the cab, and it was on the meter running for wait time. Well, they know. They even said to me, well, we were ready for you. And I thought, well, what does this mean now? What do I do? I'll run out of money if I try to go anywhere else. There's nowhere else to go. I came here, and black man came out in this vehicle. They live next to me here. So he's got a spot, and at least I'm supposed to pay for a spot. I don't have a car. That doesn't matter. That's my spot, supposedly, where I can open the door and get some air.